The Duchess Meghan Markle got some criticism for saying that she didn't realize what it was like to be treated like a black woman until she married into the royal family. Also, the comedians Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears are in some serious trouble. If you want to find out more, stay tuned and watch this video. Hello everybody, welcome to the Empressive channel. The Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, launched her podcast Archetypes on Spotify, and it already has a lot of people talking. In one of her recent podcasts, she sat down with the singer Mariah Carey, and they shared their experiences growing up being mixed-race women, and Meghan made a comment that circulated the internet, and she was just talking about how she never experienced what it was like to be a black woman until she received backlash for marrying Prince Harry.
I'd read this article about Halle Berry, and they were asking her how she felt being treated as a mixed race woman in the world, and her response was her saying, well, your experience through the world is how people view you. So she said because she was darker in color, she was being treated as a black woman, not as a mixed woman.
Right.
And I think for us, it's so different because we're light skinned. You're not treated as a black woman. You're not treated as a white woman. You sort of fit in between. I mean, if there's any time in my life that it's been more focused on my race, it's only once I started dating my husband. Then I started to understand what it was like to be treated like a black woman, because up until then I had been treated like a mixed woman. And things really shifted.
Now, this was a very interesting comment, and I saw a lot of media outlets host this headline, and she did get criticism, surprisingly, for saying this. A lot of people were questioning how is it that Meghan, who was raised by a black woman, didn't understand the experience of a black woman until she married Prince Harry. Was she that disconnected from her black side that she couldn't understand? That's what some people were asking. However, I didn't get that from this interview at all. She was really highlighting her privilege as a light-skinned mixed-raced woman. Because she has an ambiguous phenotype, people didn't treat her or look at her as a black woman. But when she married into the royal family, that's when they treated her like a black woman, because the royal family is very big on race and class. If you're not 100% white, and if you don't come from a prestigious background, they're not going to accept you. So that was the first time Meghan experienced anything like that. But just because it was her first time experiencing what it was like to be a black woman in a racist society doesn't mean that she was unaware of it.
For me, I think it hits a really personal note. I'm biracial. Most people can't tell what I'm mixed with, and so much of my life has felt like being a fly on the wall. And so some of the slurs that I've heard, or the really offensive jokes, or the names, it's just hit me in a really strong way. And then, you know, a couple years ago, I heard someone call my mom the N-word. So I think for me, beyond being personally affected by racism, just to see the landscape of what our country is like right now, certainly the world. Certain people don't look at me and see me as a black woman or a biracial woman. They treat me differently, I think, than they would if they knew what I was mixed with. And I think that is, I don't know, it can be a struggle as much as it can be a good thing depending on the people that you're dealing with.
So that's what Meghan had to say, and she wasn't ignorant of what black women have to go through. I mean, she saw firsthand what her mother went through, so she's aware of the disadvantages and she knows the struggles. And I don't want to reduce the whole black woman's experience to just struggle, because that's not the case at all. It's actually pretty lit to be a black woman. However, we do have to deal with racism. We do have to deal with different stereotypes and negative perceptions. This is an unfortunate part of our reality. And women like Meghan Markle, who is mixed with black but doesn't look black, doesn't have to deal with that. So she does have a certain privilege, and she did acknowledge that. So I don't think she said anything wrong, to be honest. She was just keeping it real. Now, moving on to the next topic. This topic is very disturbing, but we have to talk about it. Now, the comedians Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears are in a heap load of trouble because they are getting sued for taking advantage of 2 minors. And the Daily Beast did a very detailed write-up about this lawsuit. Now, the victims in question are 2 siblings. One of them goes by Jane Doe and another one goes by John Doe. So they're not revealing their names. They are anonymous in this lawsuit, but they are alleging that when they were underage, Tiffany and Aries took advantage of them and did some very inappropriate things to them. Now, what's interesting is Tiffany actually knew their mother for years. They actually met through comedy, and she was in contact with their mother on and off for years before presenting the mother with an opportunity to get her children into acting, because I assume her children wanted to act. So Tiffany told the mother that she had this perfect role for her oldest daughter, who was 14 years old at the time. And Tiffany did not tell the mother what type of role it was. She just said that this was going to be her very own commercial. So the 14-year-old daughter came to the video set, and Tiffany and Aries Spears were there. They were producing this weird skit. They were trying to eat this Subway sandwich suggestively, and they were trying to get the 14-year-old girl to do it too. And she was very, very uncomfortable because they basically were trying to make her eat the food like she was going down on somebody. You know, I'm not going to explicitly say what it is, but they were trying to make her do something inappropriate. And the 14-year-old girl said that she was very shaken up about that and she was very uncomfortable, but she did not tell her mother what happened. Now, there was another incident that involved her younger brother, who was 7 years old at the time. Tiffany hit up the mother again and said that she had an acting gig for her son. She told her it was going to be something for Nickelodeon, and she trusted Tiffany, and she allowed her children to go to Aries Spears' house to film the reel. Now, I do find this to be problematic because the mother wasn't there when she should have been. I understand that she trusted Tiffany and she thought this was a good opportunity for her children, but she definitely should have been more present. Either way, she allowed both of her children to go to Aries Spears' house, and according to the daughter, Tiffany was very rude and she told her to sit down somewhere while her brother went upstairs to film the skit. And this skit they filmed was for Funny or Die, and it was called Through a P's Eyes. I'm not going to say the word, but y'all get the picture. It was through a predator's eyes. And the video was very disturbing and very inappropriate and disgusting. And I personally couldn't bring myself to watch all of it. I did read the sordid details, and it was just completely and totally out of line. I don't understand why they would even come up with a concept like that. That to me is just crazy, and it kind of speaks to how nefarious Tiffany and Aries Spears are. And Tiffany is very deceptive as well, because she lied to the mother and she lied to the children about what she was going to put them up to, because she knew the skit was very inappropriate. And Funny or Die eventually had to take it down. I think they took the video off of their site in 2018. But it was all very terrible, and it was very, very traumatizing for the 7-year-old child. It was also traumatizing for the 14-year-old daughter as well, and they are now suing Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears. The daughter right now is 22 years old, and her younger brother is still a minor. He's 15, so she's representing him in this case as well, and she's also his guardian, which is very interesting. And I think it says a lot that the mother is not directly involved in this lawsuit this time. She did try to reach a settlement with them before, but it didn't work. But now that the daughter is old enough, she's going to represent herself and her brother. So maybe this lawsuit will have legs to stand on. Once again, these are allegations that they will have to prove. I think the fact that they have video of this is enough incriminating evidence to support their case, but we don't know exactly how this case will go. Now, Tiffany did send her lawyer to respond to these claims. The lawyer said the plaintiff's mother, Teresa Morris, has been trying to assert these bogus claims against Ms. Haddish for several years. Every attorney who has initially taken on her case, and there were several, ultimately dropped the matter once it became clear that the claims were meritless and Ms. Haddish would not be shaken down. Now Ms. Morris has her adult daughter representing herself in this lawsuit. The two of them will together face the consequences of pursuing this frivolous action. So Tiffany's team is saying this whole lawsuit is an extortion attempt and they're just trying to get money out of her. I mean, she could say all of that, but it still doesn't change the fact that she and Aries Spears were very inappropriate with those children. I don't care if it was a skit. I don't care if it was done for jokes. It was highly inappropriate and very disturbing, and it should have never happened. And I think the statement coming from Tiffany's team was very dismissive towards the victims. She might think the mother is trying to get money, but it doesn't change the fact that these two children had to grow up with these traumatic memories, and they realized that they were taken advantage of when they were younger, and they want payback. And I don't blame them. I mean, there's no excusing what Tiffany and Aries Spears did. What they did was disgusting. It was vile. And those children should have never been a part of a skit like that. A skit like that should have never even been produced or thought of. And it should have never been allowed on Funny or Die. I find it interesting that Funny or Die is trying to distance themselves from this lawsuit, but they too are a part of the problem because they had the video on their site for 4 years before removing it. I believe Bossip was the one who called attention to this video, and that's when they decided to remove it. But it was on there for some time, and I feel like they were aware of it because they don't just allow any and everybody to post on their site. I mean, there's somebody on their team who was aware of that video and allowed it to slide. But a video like that should have never been posted, and Aries Spears and Tiffany should have never done anything sick like this. They should have never done it. But it says a lot that this is the type of comedy that they come up with. A lot of times these comedians be really sick and they try to cover it up with dark humor. But if you look past it, you'll realize that a lot of them are really sick for real. They really are. But anyway, tell me what y'all think about this video down below. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you care. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.